There is a complex reason why the Badlands are known as such. Very intricate and detailed. A decade-long explanation that defies most understandings. They're a bad place to find yourself. Okay, that's it, I lied. Actually, there is very little in the way of land in the Badlands. This intro's gotten away from me somewhat. The Badlands are located in Sector 0470 of the Alpha Quadrant and Sector 21305. This doesn't help much, so to put it into the context of the shows, it's around here on a map by most estimated positions, and part of it intersects the Cardassian Federation border known as the Demilitarized Zone, and the nearest UFP site is Starbase 375. That being said, Deep Space Nine is far closer as a starting point for expeditions into the Badlands, and while it maintains a strong Starfleet presence, as of 2382, it remains a Bajoran-owned station. The Badlands covers 84 parsecs. The most definable feature of the Badlands is that it is orange. Oh, my notes say it's not. It's the raging plasma storms. Well, they are typically orange. Plasma storms are created when energetic particles, like plasma, are bound up with spatial gravimetric disturbances. This is then conveyed around on currents sweeping through areas, and permanent ones are generally very rare, outside of the Badlands it seems. The Badlands are therefore incredibly interesting in that it seems to be a permanent feature of constant plasma storms. Pockets of safe space are spread throughout these waves of roiling plasma. However, even these are not guaranteed safety forever, as columns of plasma occasionally manifest between them, forming like tornadoes touching down. These follow electromagnetic flares and, while detectable, can be sudden and unpredictable. Adding on to this is that old Star Trek magic explanation for more weirdness: subspace. The area is also home to instabilities and many eddies, which might be used to explain the nature of the Badlands and strong gravitational effects. The area is suspected to be around 500,000 years old, but its exact formation is unknown to the Federation. According to Apocrypha, the Enterprise NCC-1701 conducted the first forays into the depths, where McCoy coined the name Badlands. Because of the maelstroms and nefarious operations within, it had a reputation for disappearing ships. In most cases, vessels would succumb to unexpected damage from natural hazards and fall. With the interference already playing havoc with sensors, astral currents ripping unpowered vessels around, and plasma fire raining in like waves across unprotected hulls, any vessel operating at less than peak efficiency was likely to be in escalating danger. An overwhelming storm could down shields, which would then expose communications or navigation systems to the elements. Then you're not only unprotected, but flying blind, and you can see how disaster can snowball. On top of this, some alien calling itself the Caretaker targeted this area of space to whisk away vessels that entered into its sights, all in the hopes of finding a compatible species to sire offspring with. It's not revealed exactly how long the Caretaker was doing this, but it added to the notoriety of the area substantially. Initially, however, I suspect the Caretaker targeted this area to mask the displacement wave his array used, and it also provided a feasible cover for the loss of so many craft. Because of the tempestuous nature of the Badlands, very little of it is thoroughly mapped out, and numerous systems and celestial bodies do reside within. These locations vary from entire solar systems, rogue planets, and simple asteroids. Such bodies can mark safe shelters from the storms, but even these are not immune to the effects. Most planets within the Badlands cannot maintain an atmosphere thanks to the constant bombarding particles, and asteroids are as likely to be swallowed by a passing spiral of flame, caught in a current and dashed against a larger body, or any other number of fates. As of the late 24th century, the surveys had earmarked 2 stars, 17 planets and 43 moons. What locations have been mapped out, however, included the Athos system, home to one of the few M-class environments in Athos 4. It was maintained by a people known as the Lake People, although it was also the site of colonists in 2263. so it could be a terraformed world with no indigenous life. It did, however, come to prominence in 2373 as a base of operations for the Maquis, until it was overrun during the early build of the Dominion War. There are numerous smaller planetoids and rogue gas giants within, a surprisingly high amount in fact. Perhaps this is because many planets eventually get torn away from their celestial systems and thrown across space within this turbulent area. Some still maintain a thin atmosphere, but very few can be considered prime real estate. For this reason, colonization efforts in the Badlands are few and far between. It does, however, make a great hiding spot for the interference it causes, the difficulty in reaching a destination, and the sheer number of undiscovered locations within. This is why the Maquis made extensive use of this area during their operations, seeing great success in guerrilla warfare within its storms. The longevity of their bases was not a concern either, as the Maquis generally liked to keep on moving anyway. Both Starfleet and the Cardassian Union would often send patrols into the Badlands to capture or terminate targets, but such patrols often met with little success. There are similar phenomena. For example, plasma storms that can manifest in space, even over a planetary system, where they can create lightning-like discharges. Yet the fiery appearance is something mostly unique to the Badlands. The closest other phenomena is the Briar Patch, but even this is a far more placid area and less energized. Honestly, aside from the colour and scattering effects on sensors, they have very little in common. The Badlands persisted at least until the 32nd century and showed no signs of abating, being a staple location in the Alpha Quadrant forever. So, what gives it such permanence? In any area of space, gravity is king, and while solar winds can blow across space, eventually things coalesce into higher density forms like stars, or they are blown apart and continue to drift. But my point is that over millennia things change. An ocean is whipped up by the wind, the tide pulled by gravity of the moon. Bathwater only ripples when you disturb it. So my point is that something needs to be exacerbating and changing these particles, yet preventing them from settling or being disseminated, and my bet is some form of subspace turbulence. So, while plasma is of course real, the notion of a region of permanent or even temporary plasma storms, as seen in Star Trek, is, as far as we know, impossible. Well, outside of stars. Solar flares are arcs of expelled plasma following magnetic fields, which can even be accompanied by coronal mass ejections, conveying large amounts of plasma into space beyond the star's surface. But the Badlands are clearly not the surface of a sun, despite the fiery appearance. Storms can develop when such energized particles encounter a strong magnetic force, like a planet's magnetosphere, while space hurricanes can similarly form with interactions in the ionosphere. Like a real hurricane, such formations of circulating particles can also develop a calm spot at their centre, but the common interaction between all of these things is that they need a strong magnetic field to interact with, that they are localised, and that they are short-lived. The Badlands has none of these, yet continues to roil and roll in space, suggesting a continual presence of general magnetism from somewhere spanning light years. In the lore of Star Trek, the Badlands is certainly a dangerous place to visit, but even outside of being a good hidey hole, Starfleet continues to investigate it because they want to know how it happened. Current theories include the idea that the plasma is maintained from some subspace effect, and that the same effects generated the gravitational conditions to keep it all coalesced enough but prevent it from gathering or cooling. On top of this, something else is generating the sort of magnetic fields you'd expect to see from planetary bodies, meaning that the plasma has currents and fields to interact with, to keep it churning. All in all, the Badlands are a mystery on some levels, and while we know what it is, where it is, and how to explore or even navigate it, other parts are elusive, or at least not revealed in canon yet. Probably because real-world scientific explanations do not cover it, but, like a lot of Star Trek lore, there are real ideas behind the technobabble. Thanks for watching this lore video explaining the Badlands. I am going to look at more locations in the future, and not just the planets that I have tackled before, but more like this too. Thanks again. I've been Rick, and I'll see you later for another video. Until then, goodbye.